How's everyone this morning? Or this afternoon, I guess? Good. Yes. Alright, well, my name is Dan from Paradise Health. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Despite the weather, we really appreciate you sharing your valuable time and your afternoon with us. Welcome to our first Lunch with a Doctor for 2026. We're planning to do these approximately once a month, so we hope that you'll be able to join us. Lunch with a Doctor is a free community event that we put on to promote the benefits of plant-based eating and the principles of lifestyle medicine. There's going to be two parts. First, we're going to have our talk by one of our doctors at Paradise Health Clinic, and then we want to invite you to stay for an amazing plant-based lunch. Is everyone hungry? Yes, okay. We want to invite you to stay for that. I want to thank our partners. So the Paradise Fields, it's an organic farm in Hamilton. That's actually where the clinic we started. I want to thank Back to Basics Farm. It's right here in Newmarket. And the Newmarket Seventh-day Adventist church group that sponsors the meal. I want to invite Sherman to come up and just say a few words of welcome on behalf of the Newmarket group. This is my son here.
Good afternoon, everyone. So as Daniel just said, my name is Sherman. I'm from the Newmarket Seventh-day Adventist Church. And on behalf of the Newmarket Seventh-day Adventist Church, we just want to welcome you here. We help sponsor this event because health is a really important tenet of our faith. And we want to help share the knowledge and awareness on health. And so we hope that as you come and you enjoy the plant-based nuts and the talk, that you'll really learn something that can be beneficial towards your health, and that would be great for us. And again, we just want
Thank you, Sherman. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have our talk first, and then again, we invite you to stay for lunch. Our talk today is called Living in Rhythm. We know that what we eat, the exercise that we do is very important, but also when we do these things is also important as well. We don't talk that much about it, and we want to do that today. So we're going to look at how to optimize our daily schedule and our weekly schedule for the best health. Our speaker today is Dr. George Cho. He's our clinic director at Paradise Health. So he's going to give a talk for around 30-40 minutes. If you have questions, please save them to the end. We'll do a Q&A at the end. We encourage you to listen carefully to the talk. Okay, so at this time, we invite Dr. Cho up. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So good to see you all here today. So today is not about the what, it's about the when. It's not about what to do to be healthy, but it's when to do these things. So we talk about two different rhythms that are very important for our health. First is the daily rhythm, and second is the weekly 7-day cycle rhythm. Okay? So first we're going to begin with the daily rhythm. I want to begin with just a personal anecdote. This is my beautiful mother here. And before she passed away, she had a large property up in the Kawartha Lakes. And her house was off-grid. So our power source came from, we had these solar panels on the roof and stuff like that. But sometimes, as you can imagine, the power wouldn't work. And so we'd get out candles and lamps and stuff like that. Now, during the summertime, it wasn't that big of a deal, but in the wintertime, it was kind of a problem. Okay? At night, I want to ask you, what do you think we did at night when we had no power? What do you think we did?
Got lots of blankets.
Sorry?
Got lots of blankets.
A lot of blankets? Wood stove? Do you think we're doing a lot of cooking at night? No. Without power? No. Really, the reality is that most times when the power went up, we just went to sleep. Okay? And this is actually us here up on the property. As you can see, it's quite remote. You know, living at my mom's place or visiting on the weekends, and experiencing some of the power outages that happen from time to time was very revealing to me because it gave me insight into the way that humans live for the vast majority of human history. Which is this, which is that human activity for the vast majority of human history was regulated by the rising and the setting of the sun. Are we together?
Yeah.
Today, because of artificial lighting, we can treat the night like the day and the day like the night. This was not a luxury that our ancestors had. The question today is it healthy to live the way that we live now, as in treating the night like the day? Or are we actually designed to work with or in sync with the rising and the setting of the sun? Are we together? Okay? And my argument today is that we, as humans, are supposed to align and live in sync with the rising and the setting of the sun. That's my argument today, okay? That's just the first part of the argument, okay? So let's begin. First, in your DNA, you have a set of genes called the clock genes. Each one of your cells has this gene. And this gene cycles through a 24-hour rhythm. So every one of your cells goes through a 24-hour rhythm in its activities. It's innate. It's not external, it's innate to us. Okay? So whether you're living in a cave for a few days or up in space, this 24-hour circadian rhythm is intact. And it goes on and on and on. Okay? So it's innate, it's internal, it's 24 hours, it's called the circadian rhythm. Now, the circadian rhythm, the master clock, is the SCN, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's in the brain, and that's the master clock that sets this rhythm for the rest of the peripheral clock. So all your cells have this clock, but it's in sync with the master clock. Yona, it's a little bit, okay? Now, this is internal, but what's very important to realize is that our internal system is in sync with the external world through the day-night cycle. Are we together? Okay? So light from the sun coming into the retina keeps our internal rhythm in sync with the external rhythm. Okay? And the scientific evidence shows now that when these two things are not in sync, it can cause problems with our health. Here, this is a study from 2019. It's 2014. It says, quote, sleep disorders, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, cancers, inflammatory disorders, and mood disorders like depression, schizophrenia, and even ADHD may result from dysfunction of circadian rhythms. Is that interesting? So when we're not living in sync with the external cue, then we can get these chronic diseases, all right? So our body operates in sync with sunrise and sunset. This is Dr. Russell Foster. He's a researcher in circadian neuroscience at Oxford. And he says, we ignore the circadian and sleep systems at our peril. So it's very important that we live in sync with the day-night cycle. So I'm going to go through a few things that will help us live in sync with the circadian rhythm. The first is sleep in rhythm. Sleep in rhythm. This will be the easiest one. This is Ariana Huffington. She's the founder of the Huffington Post. And as is common when people are trying to start a business, you prioritize work over sleep. This woman, she was routinely working 18-hour days. She'd often go to bed at 2 to 3 in the morning, sometimes even 4 in the morning. In 2007, she experienced an accident which shifted her whole perspective on sleep. One day she was at home working, but then she passed out. When she woke up, she found herself in a pool of her own blood. She had a broken cheekbone and a cut over her eye. She was rushed to the hospital, and the doctor's diagnosis was very simple. She didn't have a stroke. It wasn't a brain tumor. The diagnosis was simple. She was simply exhausted. She wasn't getting proper sleep. She called this experience her wake-up call. And today, she calls herself a sleep evangelist. She even wrote a book called The Sleep Revolution, and she prioritizes sleep, getting enough sleep, and also sleeping at the right time. She tries to go to bed earlier and tries to get enough sleep. Notice for Ariana that it wasn't just how much she slept, but when she slept. Okay, she slept too short, and she didn't sleep at the right time. Okay? So you can sleep, so it matters when you sleep, not just how long you sleep. So you see here, day, night, and day. And you see the time here, let's say 8 p.m. to 9 a.m. You can get person A, and they sleep from 8 to 5, and that's healthy. Now you can get another person B, and they're sleeping from 12 to 9. It's the exact same amount of time, yes? The exact same amount of time, but the effects on your health is different. Because person A is sleeping earlier, they're sleeping in sync with the rhythm, whereas person B is sleeping too late. Alright? So some people say, I sleep late, but I still get my 8 hours. Well, it's good that you're getting your 8 hours, but it's also important to sleep earlier as well. Okay? Studies do show that sleeping earlier is beneficial for health. I want to just read you a study here. This is a paper, a systematic review in 2000, quoting, quote, later sleep timing and greater sleep variability were generally associated with adverse health outcomes. So we're not talking about duration, we're talking about the timing of the sleep. Quoting, the available evidence supports that earlier sleep timing and regularity in sleep patterns with consistent bedtimes and wake times are favorably associated with health. In conclusion, quoting still, earlier sleep timing and regularity with consistent bedtimes and wake times are advised to promote health benefits. Alright? A wide array of health issues can occur from disrupted sleep. Metabolic issues, immune issues, cognitive issues, mood issues. So friends, I want to encourage you to get enough sleep, also sleep at the right time. Okay? Earlier is better. Now I want to emphasize how detrimental late night sleeping is. So the World Health Organization categorizes different things in different carcinogenic categories. So carcinogenic means things that cause cancer. So you got group 1 all the way to group 3. Group 1 are things that we know causes cancer, and group 2A is probably carcinogenic, and so on. So for example, cigarettes, diesel exhaust, processed meat and alcohol, these are group 1 carcinogens. Right, so these are things that we know cause cancer. Interestingly enough, night shift work is a group 2A carcinogen. So based on the scientific evidence, night shift work probably causes cancer. And it's not because nurses are eating donuts at night. It's because they're working during when they're supposed to be sleeping, and they're sleeping when they're supposed to be active. So just the fact that they're up at night chronically, that itself is carcinogenic, as in cancer causing. Is that terrible? They try to help us, but then they're not helping themselves. So that's too bad. But it's in the same category as DDT, red meat, and cobalt. Interesting enough, night shift work is in a higher category than gasoline exhaust. Okay? So this is how bad staying up at night is for our health. Okay? You're out of rhythm. you're out of sync. Alright? Now, one way to sleep earlier is actually to have exposure to sunlight during the day. Outdoor daylight exposure was linked to ease of getting up, fewer symptoms of insomnia, and early sleep timing preferences. Morning light can advance sleep phase. That means when you get sunlight in the morning, it helps you to sleep earlier. Alright? Now some of you might be saying, well, at my workplace, the lighting is really bright. Okay? But that doesn't cut it. Because it's natural daylight that really matters. Natural daylight. Now, why is that the case? Why is it sunlight and not like light like this? It's because office light is about 500 to 1,000 lux. Sunlight is several magnitudes more brighter than that. Okay? So office light is usually 500 to 1,000. Sunlight is up to 100,000 lux. And office light is not, our eyes are not sensitive enough, or at least office light is not bright enough to entrain or to cue our circadian rhythm. Sunlight is. Okay, this is why office light is not enough. It's better to get sunlight as a way to keep the circadian rhythm in sync. So when we get sunlight in the morning, that bright light helps cue the system internally to get back in rhythm. Are we together?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to try to get to bed earlier, one thing to do is wake up and as much as you can try to get sunlight outside, okay? That's the most important. So get sunlight during the day and then it'll help you sleep earlier at night. Let's move on here. The next thing I want to talk about is move in rhythm. Okay, move in rhythm. Scientists, they got these mice, and these mice were all out of whack. The mice are nocturnal, so they're active during the night and they sleep during the day, our day. But these mice, they're kind of out of sync. Okay, their circadian rhythm was all messed up. What they do, they got these mice and they got them to exercise. And guess what happened to their circadian rhythm? They start to realign. Isn't that amazing? Exercise helps regulate our circadian rhythm. Regular physical exercise is a suitable stimulus to improve 24-hour rhythms. All right? Exercise acts as a circadian time cue. So we want to encourage you to be active. Now, how about when is the best time to be physically active? During the day or during the night? So who's here thinks during the day and the morning? How about at night? Okay. Well, let's find out. You know, exercising at night can be problematic. Okay, athletes recognize this. This is this guy he's a basketball player. His name is Tobias Harris, and after games, you know, these basketball players they play night games. He straps himself with a breathing belt. He slips on a heart rate monitor, and he starts to do breathing exercises. And the reason he does that is because he knows that the game that he just played makes him alert and puts his body in an awake state. So as soon as the games are done, he starts to do these things to basically bring the body down to a resting state. Okay. In fact, one GM, NBA GM says we have a large population of vampires. Talking about NBA players. Sleep deprivation and sleep issues is very prevalent among athletes actually. Okay? And one of the reasons is because they play late at night, so their system is all jacked up basically, and it's hard to kind of relax. Okay, so sleep deprivation is actually a big issue. During the day, your temperature is at a certain level, but then at night, the temperature actually drops to facilitate sleep. But the problem is that exercise increases your body temperature. During the day, your heart rate is at a certain rate, but then at night, your heart rate actually slows down. But what does exercise do? Exercise increases your heart rate. So do you see the issue with exercising at night? Okay, it's going counter to what your body wants to do. Okay? During the day, your adrenal glands, that's the stuff on top of the kidneys there, the orangey stuff, that organ releases epinephrine and cortisol, which makes you alert. At night, your pineal gland, releases melatonin, which makes you sleepy. But what does exercise do? It releases cortisol, which makes you alert. So you see, when we exercise late at night, you're not really working with your system. Okay, you're kind of getting yourself out of balance. Okay, so here, this is a diagram from a paper here. Exercise delays the release of melatonin. It delays, which is not helpful or conducive to sleep. So individuals aiming to improve sleep may benefit from concluding exercise at least 4 hours before sleep or electing lighter strain activities within this window. Okay? So basically, I'll just make it very simple for you. This is your bedtime here. So if you're doing very intense, maximal activities, try to do them about 4 hours before bedtime. Now, if you're doing kind of mild activities, like maybe 10-mile run or some sports training, it's still intense, but not maximal, then you can maybe do it 2 hours before bedtime. And if you're doing some light activities, like like going for a brisk walk, or some just light activities at the gym, you can even do those even an hour before bedtime. It's actually okay. So you can exercise at night, technically, but it should be more lighter activities. Are we together? Okay? But if you're doing very intense, very long duration activities, then you want to just leave some more room before your bedtime. Else, you'll be too alert and your system's not going to have enough time to kind of settle down. Okay? Now, having said this though, I just want to point out, I believe that exercise is so important for our health that it's important to do it regardless of the time. Okay? I think that's how critical exercise is. So it's better to get exercise in than to not get it in. Okay? But if you're able to, try to follow this type of timing would optimize your circadian rhythm. Okay. And also, if possible, exercising in the morning to get the sunlight would probably be optimal. All right. So exercise in the morning, if possible, outside. If not, at least give maybe 2 hours or so buffer before your bedtime. All right. All right. Let's get to the hard part. Eat in rhythm. Okay, eating in rhythm. A lot of people in Canada, they eat like this. Small breakfast, lunch, the largest meal is dinner, usually at night. This is typical, okay? Today I want to argue that we should be eating more like this. Eating larger breakfast, second meal, 5 to 6 hours apart, and then basically at night, you're not eating at all, okay? Now the reason is very simple to illustrate. Okay, I'm going to do a little activity with you. Let's say that you woke up this morning and you ate at 8 o'clock. You had a good breakfast at 8. And we tell you, we make an announcement here. Sorry folks, we're delayed there. We're going to feed you at 4 o'clock p.m. Okay? So you ate at 8 and we're going to delay your lunch all the way till 4. Now how many of you by 4 o'clock p.m. are going to be very hungry? Raise your hand. You're very hungry? Yes? Okay. Now let's do a similar thing but at night. Let's say you eat your regular dinner at 8 p.m. and we wake you up at 4 a.m. and tell you to eat breakfast. How many of you are hungry at 4 a.m.? Okay, you're hungry. Most of us are not hungry. Isn't that interesting? It's the exact same amount of time, isn't it? 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the exact same amount of time as 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Yet your hunger level is different, despite the fact that it's the exact same amount of time. In fact, I would hazard to guess that if we fed you a good meal at 8 p.m., that most of us will not eat until about 12 p.m. the next day. Would you agree? in my experience with patients, people who eat late at night, they skip breakfast altogether, even though it's been 12 hours since eating their last meal. That's very interesting. So in one situation, you can't wait a few hours, you get already hungry during the day, but when you eat late at night, you can go even more than 12 hours before your next meal. Why is that the case? It's all about the timing. The digestive system is also on a rhythm as well. And whether you like it or not, we can't treat it like it's the same during the day and the night. The digestive system is also on a rhythm, and we have to treat it like it is, right? Humans exhibit a daily rhythm in the production of saliva, gastric acids, digestive enzymes, salts, the production of all of which declines late at night. Okay, what is this talking about? When you eat a meal, it goes into your stomach. The stomach has stuff to digest the food. After that, it sends that stuff, it's called chyme, into the small intestine, where more enzymes digest the food. Okay? Now, does anyone know how long it takes for the stomach to empty out a typical meal into the small intestine?
5 hours.
Sorry?
5 hours?
Approximately 5 to 6 hours. Okay? 5 to 6 hours. So basically what that means is, if you eat a large meal at 7 p.m., then the stomach is not emptying out that meal until about 12 to 1 a.m. So some people say, well, I ate at 7 p.m., and that's not late, which is true, it's not too late. But you have to realize, you have to understand the way that your digestive system works. The stomach is not late for the stomach, but once it gets into the small intestine, it's late. Are we together? Because by the time the small intestine receives the food, it's already past midnight. Now what did we just read? That the digestive enzymes, the level of the enzymes decreases at night. So by the time that the small intestine receives the food, there's not a lot of digestive juices to actually digest the food. Does that make sense? All right? So let me make it very simple for you here. Pretend your last meal is at 3 p.m. You see all the nice, you got a lot of digestive enzymes, and the stomach will empty the stuff out into the small intestine by 8 p.m., which isn't too late. So you got a lot of good digestive enzymes to digest the food. On the other hand, if you're a typical Canadian, you're eating your last meal, let's say at 7, and you got some digestive enzymes in the stomach, but now the small intestine receives that food at 12, and you have less digestive enzymes. Okay? So basically, the point is that you're not digesting very well when your large meal is at night. That's the bottom line. Okay? Now, another thing is when you eat food, it has to travel, right? So so that banana goes down the esophagus into the stomach, into the small intestine, into the large intestine, then out the rectum. It has a long way to go. Now, notice here, intestinal peristalsis also shows a daily rhythm with reduced contractions at night. What's that talking about? Your digestive system contracts, so basically it's going like this to move stuff along the digestive tract. But what did we just read? Those contractions are reduced at night. Okay, so basically the point is that food moves very slowly during the night. So does it make sense to give a large load to your digestive system at night? Yes or no? No, it doesn't, because it's not moving along very fast. This is why when we eat late at night, we wake up and we feel like it's like still there, right? Because it's not moving very fast during the nighttime, okay? So basically, I'll skip this part. Actually, I'll just briefly mention here, a lot of people, they snack as well. And I just want to point out that snacking is not good for you, because snacking is like a drying machine. If you have a drying machine and the cycle is about 1 hour long, snacking is like stopping the drying machine halfway through and then putting more wet clothes into the drying machine. Okay? Because remember what we said? It takes 5 to 6 hours for the stomach to empty out a meal. So if you are snacking, if the meal's in the stomach and then you snack, you put something else in the stomach before the 5 6 hours, it's like putting wet clothes into the drying machine. Okay, stuff doesn't digest very well. Okay. So I don't know if any of you like, this is my family here. I don't know if any of you guys like camping. Who here likes camping? I don't like camping. I'm a city boy. But when you have kids, you have to kind of force yourself to like camping. But you know, camping is a great reminder to us of how we're supposed to eat. Okay? Because camping, even with all of our headlights and flashlights and stuff, when you go camping, you really want to finish all your eating before nightfall. Is that true? Right? That's true, right? So it's a great reminder to us how our ancestors lived for much of human history. And the closer we get back to that, the healthier we really are, okay? So I want to encourage you to not eat like this, but to eat more like this, okay? Eat larger during the day, fasting during the night. Now, of course, there's exceptions, you know, Christmas dinner, wedding dinners and stuff like that. There's always exceptions, and the one meal late at night is not gonna harm you, right? But we're talking about like a consistent pattern of eating. Okay, I've had patients who eat at 9, 10 p.m. Yeah, that's really not good. And people who have bloating and stuff, usually you can just fix it very fast by just doing something like this. Okay, usually, all right. The last thing I want to talk about here is the weekly rhythm. So we talked about the daily rhythm. Now we're going to end talking about the weekly rhythm. Rest in rhythm. Some of you might be saying, well, we already talked about sleep. But there's a different type of rest that's important as well. Okay, it's the weekly rest. The weekly Sabbath rest. This is a Marge Jatan. She lived to past 100 years old. She was very healthy. She was active and taking care of herself even when she was 100 years old. In fact, at age 100, she renewed her driver's license for another 5 years. This person lived in rhythm. She slept well. She even ate 2 meals a day. Breakfast was usually oatmeal and some fruit. Lunch consisted of usually a large salad and other foods. She was a vegetarian. She exercised rigorously as well. She would cycle 6 days a week, and she lifted weights as well. She practiced everything that we were talking about today. But she exercised only 6 days a week, Sunday to Friday. She would rest on Saturday. Why would she rest on Saturday? Because Marge Jatan was a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. Seventh-day Adventists rest on Saturday because they treat it as a Sabbath, as a day of rest. Marge Jatan says the following. This is quoting from Dan Buettner's book, The Blue Zones. The Sabbath is special. It is a time to come apart from the things of the world. You go on hikes. You stop pushing. I think the Sabbath gives you peace, and that contributes to your health. Adventists get the concept of the Sabbath from the Bible. In the Bible, in Exodus, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. So Seventh-day Adventists like Marge keep Sabbath as a rest day. So Saturday is not a day to catch up on office work or homework. It's not a day to mow your lawn or go shopping. It's not a day you spend watching football. Rather, they treat it as a day to spend with family, friends, and God. In the mornings they go to church, and in the afternoons they spend time with family and friends. They'll study the Bible, they will share meals, they spend quality time together. It's kind of like a sanctuary in time, a time spent on relationships. Now you notice here, Marjaton said the Sabbath is special. You know, it's very interesting. The 7-day cycle is very unique compared to other cycles that regulate human activity, like the day, the year, and the month. I want to do a little activity with you. What astronomical cycle regulates the year? Does anyone know? Well, what determines a year?
The earth around the year.
Correct. The Earth's orbit around the sun. Okay? When the Earth orbits around the sun once, that's called a year. That's the yearly cycle. Okay? Does anyone know what astronomical cycle determines the month? Does anyone know?
The moon.
Yes, sir.
Lunar cycle.
Correct. The moon orbiting around the Earth once determines the month. Are we together? Okay. How about a day? What determines a day?
The earth turning the
Sunrise, sunset.
The Earth rotating once on its axis, correct? Okay. I want to ask you a question. What determines the weekly cycle? There's nothing in space. Very interesting. So, a year is Earth orbiting the sun once. The month is the moon orbiting the Earth once. A day is the Earth rotating on its axis once. But all human cultures essentially operate on a weekly cycle, the 7-day weekly cycle. Yet there's nothing astronomically that determines that. You only get that from one place, which is the Bible. In 6 days, God made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that's in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath and made it holy. You get the weekly cycle from the Bible, and yet all human cultures follow the weekly cycle. Very interesting. You notice here it says that God blessed the 7th day. Studies do show now, researchers studying on the benefits of keeping Sabbath, and they're showing that it has positive benefits, like reducing depressive symptoms, better self-control, better sense of empowerment, personal empowerment, self-awareness, self-care, enriched relationships, and benefits to spirituality. In a study on Seventh-day Adventist men, they found that cortisol levels can decrease by keeping Sabbath. Cortisol is like a stress hormone. Those levels can go down by keeping Sabbath, which shouldn't be really surprising when you take a day to completely rest and de-stress, right? So the benefits are intuitive, right? Dr. Katie McNichol, she says the Sabbath provides opportunities to rest from both physical and mental stresses and introduces a rhythm into the cycle of everyday life. Non-work time is considered holy and provides opportunities or a possibility of deepening relationships, expressing the emotional dimensions of our being, and enjoying the here and now. I like the way one person put it, the Sabbath remains a dessert most people leave on the table. Sometimes a meal doesn't seem complete. Sometimes a meal seems incomplete without some dessert. The weekly cycle is incomplete without Sabbath. So I want to encourage everyone here to eat your dessert. So, in closing, in summary, this is what we're talking about here. Go to bed early. Wake up early. When you wake up, get sunlight. And eat early. During the day, get some more sunlight if possible. And have your second meal 5 or 6 hours after your first meal. Go to bed early. If you need to exercise later in the day, try to keep a buffer time between your bedtime and your exercise, about 1 to 2 hours. Probably 2 hours is better, okay? And of course, as well, if you're able to, try to keep a weekly Sabbath on Saturday, all right? With that, Dana, do we have time for questions? Yeah? Okay. So with that, do you have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the importance about the 5 to 6 hours. I'm just wondering, as someone who's typically not hungry at 8 a.m., let's say I push my first meal to say 10, and then I would normally eat again at say 6 p.m. Is there a key cutoff time? Like, do you recommend it? Whatever way you're shifting your eating habits, is there a time that you should try to not be eating after an eating?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't think there's a set time that you have to be eating breakfast. I think 10 a.m. is okay. Just to keep in mind though that insulin spikes in the morning. Okay, so if you're having like glucose and carbs, which I think we should be, then know that our bodies are most sensitive to that, to process carbohydrates earlier in the morning. So I typically believe that it's better to eat a little bit earlier, but I think 10 a.m. is still fine. If you're eating at 6 p.m., I think that's okay as well. I think it's probably more ideal to eat a little bit earlier, I think. Just because remember by the time, if you're eating at 6 and you finish at like 6:30, then you're dumping the stuff into small intestine by like 12-ish or so. It's still kind of late. So I think it's not bad, honestly. I think it's okay. Yeah. There's no exact set time that you have to do these things. Yeah. The principle is earlier and not eating late. That's the general principle. Yeah. Yes, sir.
One question. I noticed I had been dealing with Thai people here, and that they eat a lot of very small meals.
Yes.
Like they could kill eat. So it's not the snacking type. And they have no problem with weight and all those sort of things. So is there other ways we can do this? Is that one of the ways?
Yes, so you're saying eating many small meals?
Yeah, they're always eating healthy. It's not like a snack food, but a lot of them.
A lot. Like how many times are you talking about?
Well, I would say about twice the normal, 6 or 7 times a day.
6 or 7 times a day?
Yeah.
It's like rice and noodles and stuff?
More healthy than, a lot of herbs, a lot of, some vegetarian.
Yeah. So, thank you for the question. So, different foods metabolize differently. So, for example, if it's a liquid food, it's going to empty out very quickly, right? Like water and stuff. Light food, like fruit, can also metabolize faster. Okay? But if you're looking at meat, like proteins and heavy carbs, that's going to take some time. Okay? So if you eat like a very light meal, like fruit and salad, that's like 2 to 3 hours. It's kind of like emptying out. But if you're having like rice, noodles, meat, this kind of stuff, you're looking at like 4 to 6 hours. So I know like you said, is it Thai people or Vietnamese? Would you say what?
I don't know about Vietnamese. I only know about Thai.
Okay.
Thai.
So you think they're very thin and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's true too. Yeah, that's true. But how is your digestion though? So because like digestion could be different from your weight. You don't need to be excess weight to have problems with digestion.
But they have a lot of fresh foods. They do have
Yeah.
noodles, but it's a little bit of noodles and
Right.
broth and things like that. So it's not so very varied, but
Right.
there's a lot of fresh.
Yeah. So I think if people want to eat a little bit more, I think maybe 2 meals plus a lighter third is a possibility. Okay? I still think that eating like 6 times a day, I still think that's probably less than ideal. Yeah. Yes, Joan.
I think most people want good health. Everyone wants good health, and we want to be our best self and optimize our energy. What have you seen are the strategies for helping people to make change? If everything's out of sync and you're trying to help someone to make change, what approach do you think is best?
So the question was, how do we help people make change? So that's a hard question. So I mean, it's different for different people, but what I find that some people do well going like full therapy. Okay, some people do not do well just making small changes. Okay, other people can do well making small changes. Okay? So it's really individual. All right. So you have to ask yourself, if I make small changes, do I actually make those small changes? Okay? If you don't, then it might be better to just go full on, just make the changes drastically. Whereas other people make small changes and that works for them. Okay, so that's kind of a
I
rough
think
answer there.
the key is what I'm saying is, what do you see motivates people?
What they see motivates people.
Yeah, what do you think, what are some key triggers for motivation?
Right. What I want to encourage people is give what we talked about today a try. You know, in the Paradise Network, we have a motto which is taste and see. Okay, taste and see. When you try something and you experience the benefits, then it becomes a powerful motivator to continue making those changes. All right, so give what we talked about here a try, and I think you'll experience the benefits, and I think that could be a powerful motivator to continue living your lifestyle. Does that help, Joe?
Yeah.
All right, yes, ma'am. Ma'am at the back, yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Coffee and tea does affect the rhythm.
Oh, coffee and tea. So, our clinic, we don't recommend coffee and tea. Okay. We don't recommend caffeine. Actually, let's be more specific. We don't recommend caffeine. Okay? Caffeine is a drug. It doesn't recognize caffeine is a drug. It stimulates you unnaturally, and then it makes you lose energy later on. People say that they feel more energetic with caffeine, but do you know your body's not actually getting getting energy from caffeine? It's masking the sense of low energy. That's what it's actually doing. Okay? So we encourage people to wean off wean off caffeine as much as you can. You know, healthy foods, it's hard to get addicted to healthy food. Okay? So for example, have you met anyone who said, I get withdrawal from not eating broccoli? And that doesn't happen. Healthy food generally does not lead to withdrawal. Okay? Like I'm a Korean, and you know my staple is rice. But I can go a month without eating rice, and I'm not gonna get withdrawal from this. I might crave it, I'm not gonna get these headaches and stuff like that. Unhealthy food, you'll notice that with unhealthy food, when you withdraw from them, you start to get these symptoms. Caffeine is like that, okay? It tells you it's a problem, all right? So I'll encourage people to try to wean off caffeine as much as you can. That's my simple advice
More caffeine.
to you. Yeah.
A few more questions.
Just a few more questions?
Here.
Yes, Tia.
What time should we stop looking at the computers and phones?
So the question was, what time should we stop looking at computers and phones before bedtime? So I'm not sure the exact number in Sasha. It's the hour?
30 minutes minimum, but at least an hour.
30 minutes to an hour is what Dr. Sasha says. So 30 minutes to an hour, cut off the electronics. And one last question? Yes, sir.
About sunlight. Can you use those lamps that do the exact same thing? Would that help?
Yeah. So the circadian lamp things, right? Yeah. Those I think are helpful. I don't know that they replace the sunlight, but certainly I think it can be helpful. Yes. I think what Sandra talked about, like there's these lights that you can purchase on the market that, like in the morning, you like shine the light at you, and basically it helps regulate your circadian rhythm. So those things can actually be helpful. Yeah. Yes, Jason.
Yeah, one more question. What's your advice around vitamin D? Because I think that most Canadians don't get enough of that in the winter.
Yeah, so vitamin D. So yeah, I think most Canadians would do well to supplement. I do supplement as well, especially in our environment, our climate. So I think regular vitamin D supplementation would be good. I'll probably supplement during the day, not at night. Yeah. Yes.
Just on that note, do you think it's necessary to take K2 with it because there's all this information coming out now? You should take K2 with vitamin D.
Yeah. So the question is, should we take K2 with vitamin D? I'm not sure. Sasha, do you have a thought on that?
Especially for elderly patients, yes, yeah, because of their calcium and the bone, the effect that it has for your bone density. So for definitely elderly, should do it.
Okay. So Dr. Sasha saying for elderly people, take K2 with the vitamin D. Okay. Great.
Last two questions.
Last two questions. Tia and then Thomas. Eating times in Korea?
Yeah, many meals, you just eat 2 or 3 times. It's different.
Oh, I'm not sure. I was in Razor actually. I think probably similar to us, Frank. Yeah, similar to us. Thomas?
Well, mine was a comment on an earlier question about small meals throughout the day.
Yeah.
Some of the research I've also read is that like when you start eating, what was already digestion starts, the peristalsis process, and it resets again.
Yeah.
So the longer that food is now staying in the
That's
intestine, some bacteria like producing other bad stuff, which increases your risk of colorectal cancer.
Correct, yeah. Putrefaction. It's putrefying there, yeah. So Thomas's comment was basically that when we eat, when we eat, the things are moving along, but then when you put another meal, it slows down the peristalsis of the first meal and it starts to work on the second. So basically, the food is just sitting there. And when it does that, it's like rotting, basically. It's like if you have garbage here in your house, you just kind of let it sit there. It starts to rot and cause problems, right? You want stuff to kind of clear out, right? So when we're eating many meals, it's not conducive to that. Right? Regarding 6 meals a day, some people they say that for people who try to lose weight, eating many meals is better. So we haven't, and that could be a strategy. In our clinic, we have a weight loss program where we get patients to practice this, and Dr. Plummer finds good results with this. Okay, but we don't want to translate research on obesity to the general population. Okay, so generally speaking, eating this way or living this way is typically, I think, helps you stay kind of in line with your circadian rhythm. Okay. All right. Thank you. You all learned something good? This one? Yes, probably outside. So we want to invite you to our next ones here. So on February 7th, we're going to do something on social media, especially focus on kids. So we invite all you to join us for that. And then on March 21, we're going to look at the U.S. dietary guidelines to make America healthy again, and confusion around that. So it's going to be a really interesting topic. We want to invite you all there. We gave you a little cards. You can indicate there if you want to register for that. We'll register you. We'll also send you an email. You could register online, right? Okay. All right. So thank you again for joining us. We want to invite you to stay for lunch. Today's lunch is going to be plant-based potluck. So Seventh-day Adventists, every Saturday they get together, they worship, and then they have something called potluck where they bring a plant-based meal and they kind of share it together. So we want to invite you to do that. We're almost ready there. Everything's plant-based, so there's no egg, dairy, meat. It's all plant-based. All right. And then the food is sponsored by the Newmarket Seventh-day Adventist group, so we want to thank them for sponsoring the food. I'm going to invite Edwin to come up and just say just a prayer and word of gratitude for the food. And then what we do is we go one by one. There's a lot of people here. We start with this table, go through the line, and then this table, all right? Okay, thank you.
Let's thank our Creator for the food. Our dear loving Heavenly Father, we thank you so much, O Lord, for the food that has presented here for us to enjoy. Father, we ask for blessing for those who have prepared it, and we ask for blessing as we eat it. Bless the food so that it can nourish us to give us good health. We thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we want to encourage you to stay for lunch. Again, we start with this table here.